I was like, wow, this is great. And when it comes to getting off the Democratic plantation, that's a real thing. And I don't know why somebody would feel like I, myself, would be offended by that. If everybody thinks the same, has been fear-mongered into thinking the same way, living the same way, then yes, that's a plantation. Because how in the world were so many slaves who outnumbered their slave masters continuing to be slaves? It happened because they were fearful of doing something different. So when we say that Democrats are on this Democratic plantation, specifically talking about black people, it's because yes, you guys are all blindly following a leader and you're scared to do something different.
Yes, some of you might have seen part of this video. I finally came across the full segment. It is important. I show you what is going on. This lady is on fire. She is actually saying just what a lot of people are afraid to say. And I'm glad she is doing this. She had this interview with this media where people call in and a lot of questions surface. She was able to combat them like never before. It is important. I show you this.
And Colin is calling us from Washington, D.C., Independent Line. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for taking my call, and thank you for C-SPAN. I lived in Georgia during the 2020. I do remember this same sort of rhetoric coming from Ms. Montgomery, trying to claim that, black voters were going to change sides to the Republican Party. And in 2020, I think the black percentage was like 6% for Trump. So I just find it funny that every 4 years, this same, kind of song and dance gets laundered by the Republican Party. And I think it's worth mentioning that, Ms. Montgomery, she was the former city director of Blexit, which is a far right, we're going to try and get, we're going to try and quote unquote free the plantation mentality is a literal quote of the organization of black voters. And it's founded by Candace Owens, who's a far right loon. So I just think it's disappointing when C-SPAN, platforms people like Michaelah Montgomery or Sebastian Gorka, or constantly refers to the Washington Examiner or the Washington Times, which are quite literally far-right newspapers that are made up. I mean, the Washington Examiner, go look up who founds them. Next, you're going to be, referring to the Epoch Times. So,
all right, Colin, we'll get a response from Michaelah Montgomery. Go ahead, Michaelah.
First of all, I'm a huge fan of Candace Owens, and I went to my first Blexit event here in Buckhead back in 2019. And the speeches that I heard, the visualizations that were presented to me, I was like, wow, this is great. And when it comes to getting off the Democratic plantation, that's a real thing. And I don't know why somebody would feel like I, myself, would be offended by that. If everybody thinks the same, has been fear-mongered into thinking the same way, living the same way, then yes, that's a plantation. Because how in the world were so many slaves who outnumbered their slave masters continuing to be slaves? It happened because they were fearful of doing something different. So when we say that Democrats are on this Democratic plantation, specifically talking about black people, it's because yes, you guys are all blindly following a leader and you're scared to do something different. Additionally, to think that somebody like myself, who can clearly articulate their points, their opinions, their life experience that have led them to support certain candidates, it's very interesting that somebody would demean C-SPAN for having a guest like me on TV. There's plenty of people who think, act, and wish that a voice like mine had a bigger platform. So it's unfortunate that people like that feel like we should be silenced.
All right, let's talk to Ladley.
Yes, it is extremely disturbing to see how Democrat reason. This man claimed, oh, he is not for Trump, he's not for Biden. But at the same time, the mentality in him tells you where he belongs. He is advocating that putting this lady on air should not even happen. Just imagine this, because she associates with Candace Owens and went further to talk about her previous position. It is insane. If you have this mentality that some people should not be able to air their voice because you disagree with them politically, then you should not even be able to talk, because you cannot sit to have public discourse with a lot of people with different opinions. It saddens my heart to see that in 2024 we are still having people thinking like this. I understand this lady is very intelligent. You should have your right to choose where to belong. She's advocating for a path. Why being the head of an organization with people from different parties, it is amazing like that.
But at least we try. Like, I mean, the Republican policies are just the complete opposite. Okay, last thing I want to say, they're never going to let you in the club. Okay, and you like the movie Django, you are the character of Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know the exact terminology, but not Uncle Tom, but Uncle Tommy, or you are a complete sellout.
All right, and we'll go to Robert in.
Oh, I can't respond to that?
Oh, yes, you can. If
Thank you very much. Because first of all, it sounded like that was a non-black person telling me that. So as a Democrat, that sounds pretty racial and pretty divisive. Next, it's very interesting that I, again, would be called names or be compared to fictional characters because of who I choose to support. Again, these people who are calling and making these derogatory statements about me, who I choose to support, are denying the fact that, again, who are you to tell me that my personal experience is invalid? I think that that's something that a lot of Democrats need to look within, because how have you tried? Kamala Harris is in office right now and has not tried to do anything about the border, has not tried to not tax people on tips, and has not tried to do anything about our failing education system. So everything that she's promising she can do for you on day one, she could do right now, but she's not trying to. So that's something to, for some Dems to take home.
Robert in Aurora.
This second caller is crazy. She's a sellout because she can't buy to his own narrative or the Democrat narrative. It's insane to still think that people that don't align with you are mad. She's a black person. She has taken her part based on her beliefs. I don't believe someone will just get up and say, oh, today I'm not doing this. I'm no longer a Republican. You should have reason. You have reason why you take up that decision. If you see her advocating for this, it is because she has seen on both sides of the coins. She now understands what Democrats stand for. Black people for a very long time, they have been doing this. If you go against, they don't support you. Like when I started this platform, I used to see a lot of these people supporting me because that time they did not know my stand. Along the way, when I decided to take a path to follow, some started leaving. I got a lot of bad emails, insult. I'm a sellout. I used to see that. If I check through my channel, I will tell you the truth about, in fact, not even 10%. People might call standing to support me. That is to tell you the kind of mentality these people have. I see associate with people from different parties, but when it concerns my beliefs, I cannot change that. I don't know why people cannot really take this normally.
That sounds like self-hatred and justification of white supremacy. And let me just say this, because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being, but when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history. And when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of...
Some people, it's already started. They already know what that costs.